I don't necessarily think that's like a major rule. I mean, hey guys, so welcome to the channel. Today we're filming multiple videos, but the one that we're doing right now is I want to show John, who just blinded me. No, I'm messing. No, I'm going to show John how to turn this background into a very blue, dramatic background. And I wanted to quiz John, and he said, can I do it off camera first so I get it right? And I said, no.
No, God, please, no, no!
I want you to try it out in camera, explain to us, and then, because you might say something that other people may think, and I would rather, there's no dumb questions, dude, we're all learning. So I'd rather you say it to me, and then I can kind of correct it if it's not correct, and that way people can kind of learn from that. So if we want to make the background blue, John, how would one do that?
What I would do is put on a CTO on the flash, and then I would turn my white balance down 3300, 3600, and then wherever the light's hitting, we'll make it a neutral flash, and the background would be blue.
Right. Yeah. See, you had it, dude. What we're doing right now is we're using the Magmod equipment. We're using the CTO. And then we probably will use a bubble too, just to kind of soften it a little bit. Keep in mind, if you're shooting, in the middle of the day, every single modifier that you put on kills one stop. So this is gonna kill one stop, this is gonna kill one stop. Additionally to that, this technique you wouldn't do in the middle of the day because you wouldn't be able to kill the ambient that much. I mean, you can, but it's much more of a workaround. This is more something you wanna do when it's overcast, as you guys are seeing right now in some of the photos, or when it's dusk. Or dawn if you're insane and you wake up early to shoot photos. That's when you can get this blue look. So John, go ahead and set your camera to 3200 Kelvin, right around there, 32, 33. And then what we want to get is an exposure for the background. Okay. So go ahead and shut off, yeah, exactly. Shut off your trigger. Go ahead and expose for that background. 1/160th of a second, 2.8. I would go maybe 200 ISO because it does look a little dark. So maybe 200 ISO?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
see that looks a little bit better. It looks a little more lively. Looks great. So John, Chris, go ahead and stand on this thing right here. Yep. I do that sometimes so my assistants can see where the light is hitting. Hold on, John. Once you take the photo, look at the photo, and I want you to critique your photo. Okay. So look at the photo. What do you see? What can be changed to be improved?
I see a lot of spill on the ground on lights.
Let me see. What I would want you to do, instead of putting him there, first of all, watch the height of the horizon.
Yep.
We don't want it to cut through anywhere close to his neck.
I got down low.
So maybe I would get a little bit lower. Yep.
Okay.
And then another thing I would do is put him on a third. So if my flash is on this side, the reason I do that is because more than likely I'm gonna put my subject on the left third. If I have my flash on the right side, it's because more than likely I'm gonna put him on the right third. The reason for that is I want my flash usually as close as possible to my subject, and then I'm just gonna crop it out. The other technique would be to Photoshop the light stand out, but if you don't have to, don't do it. Why add extra work, you know? So go ahead and put him on the left third when you do this. You're also gonna get that nice warm skyline back there with the blue around him, which will look good.
I want him looking that way so he's looking into the photo.
Not necessarily. I know we've had that discussion before.
Yeah, okay.
I don't necessarily think that's like a major rule. I mean,
no worries.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and if people have an opinion, leave a comment, let me know. For me, I don't really mind if he's looking outside of the frame or he's looking into the frame.
Okay.
I don't think it's as important as making sure that he's on a third, making sure that the light is good. Like, I've never really been sold on the idea that they have to look into the frame or anything like that. It looks great right now, yeah. And that's what I was saying is even if you miss a sunset, you can still get a lot of colors out of the background, especially with this technique, using a CTO, really just pulling more color out of the background. Let's go ahead and change your white balance to daylight white balance. Yeah, 5500 Kelvin, and we're gonna take off the CTO. Right there. It might be too bright, but go ahead and take it anyway. Just because now we took off a gel, so it's one stop of light. You see? Let me see. So now that we took off the CTO, I don't think the background, now it looks a little bit warmer back there versus, go back. You see the blue?
Oh,
so there's no right or wrong. It's just what do you choose? Yeah, do you want a warm kind of feel or do you want it to look cool in the background? And it's just as easy as putting on a CTO or taking it off. Make sense?
Yep. Perfect.
And look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, dude. Yeah. So there's a new thing under your belt. And if you wanted to control the spill, what you mentioned earlier, you would just put a grid on your flash. And what that will do is it'll tighten the beam and it won't spill as much on the floor. That's why I'm not a huge fan of using umbrellas, softboxes, all that, because when you do that, it spills all over the place. I like it to be more controlled. So in this situation, I probably wouldn't have put a grid just because I don't want the bottom of his feet not to be lit up. So a little bit of spill I was okay with.
Okay.
Yeah. So to recap, if you want a blue background, shoot at dusk or when it's overcast, not in bright daylight because it's not going to work in the middle of the day. You want to put a CTO on your flash. You don't necessarily need to put a bubble, but definitely a CTO. And then you want to change your white balance down to 3200 Kelvin, right around there. So that way, if you took a photo without flash, everything would be blue. And then when you use the flash, then you make your subject pop out. They'll be color corrected because you put the CTO on it, and then the background will look blue. Let me show actually if you doing it incorrectly. Okay. So let's say we don't use a CTO, and you shoot at 32, 33, exactly. You're gonna see that the flash looks blue on your subject. That's with no CTO and 3300 Kelvin, 3300, 3200 Kelvin, around there.
Can you take one more?
Yep. Okay, now leave the numbers exactly the same, John. We're gonna pop on the CTO. Hold on one second. And same exact numbers, now with a CTO. The difference?
Yep, exactly.
Cool. Perfect. So come check it out, guys, just so you guys can understand. So when you do it without a CTO, you look how blue you look. Mm-hmm. Like a Smurf. And then when we put a CTO on it, watch, it color corrects them. You did see that it got darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you could have done is raise the flash power a little bit.
About a stop.
But it's not the end of the world. What I want you guys to see and grasp is the color of it. So without a CTO, he looks blue if you're at 32, 3300 Kelvin. When you add a CTO, he looks more color corrected. Cool?
Pretty.
Everybody learning?
Perfect.
And that's what it's about. All right, cool. All right, like I said, that wraps it up for this one. Like, subscribe, whatever, do all that good stuff. Or if you don't like my face, don't. I don't know. All right, thank you guys.